My name's Sean Gray. I'm a performance coach. I specialize in helping release players from that devastating condition called Yips. Today, I want to talk about how I've been able to help golfers. Yips is actually a mysterious condition that a lot of golfers suffer from. You could be an amateur, professional, and it's actually been the kind of condition that has finished a lot of people's lives. I mean, they basically find it very stressful to go out there and keep playing when they're embarrassed. They've lost control of the ball, they've lost feel, and then they have to develop the fear of the fear. When's that condition going to come again? It could be you're actually putting, then all of a sudden you lose that feeling in your arm. You know, your arms feel quite tense. You could feel it in your stomach, your shoulders, and then the idea you've lost all feel. So you'll just sort of hit that ball towards a tee, just in hope. Could go anywhere. Could be chipping off a green that you've got the idea of the shot, and when you go and take the swing, you have an involuntary twitch in your arms, and the ball goes anywhere. And then it's a case, it might be all right for a while, but then it's a case of when will it happen again? You develop the fear of the fear. It starts to affect your feelings about golf. You know, do you want to go out there and play with your friends and then be embarrassed? And of course, what tends to happen is conventional ways of dealing with this is you have more practice, you change your grip, you get maybe more coaching, and in many cases, it actually get worse. So, and actually, the other thing is you could be hitting off the tee, and you could be in front of your friends, and then you get that tension in your shoulders, tension in your arms. You lost that feel. You can't really think straight, and then you take that swing, and heaven knows where the ball's going to go. So, so really, it's a case of, from my approach, I just want to say that I want to take the mystery out of it, because the first thing I'm going to say, which might be strange, is that it's in my experience of working with golfers, it's not a mechanical thing. Now, that might sound really strange, but sometimes you might find you'll be able to go on the practice range and maybe you're sort of swinging and your stroke seems okay. And it's only in certain conditions where it'll come on. So I use this technique that recognizes that it's not so much of a mechanical thing. It's actually to do with relative trauma stored in the body. Well, that sounds really weird, doesn't it? But if you've had a bad experience with golf, what tends to happen is that's like a negative charge that's stored in the body. And then when you go and play again, you get like another bad experience where you're playing with your friends, you get embarrassed. You know, maybe it was chipping the first time, but now it's putting. And so you, as I say, you develop the fear of the fear. So that's another bad experience. And what tends to happen is you got this part of the brain, they call it the amygdala, the gatekeeper. It's supposed to keep you safe. So what tends to happen is it becomes a bit of a scaredy cat. So it's just the idea of maybe going and playing golf could actually trigger the body's fight or flight response to stress. So what is the fight or flight or freeze? You'll feel it in your chest, your arms, you know, your heartbeat will go up, your palms are getting sweaty. Um, and then, of course, what tends to happen is you've actually got no feel. So the technique I use is actually a condition where we tap on the body's acupressure points, which again looks quite odd. You know, here we go. I'm just going to do this as something that I would do with people, but this actually sends calming messages to the brain. It's a technique that's used to help soldiers coming back from war with PTSD, helps give their life back. So in many ways, it's the same for me when I work with golfers. It's just they've got relative trauma stored in the body from that past experience. So if you're trying to just work your way through and get more coaching, change your grip, get a longer putter, change, you know, go from right hand to left hand, maybe more breathing. In relative terms, in the short term, it might help. But really, what's happening is you've got all this stored negative underlying sabotage that whenever you come and have an association with golf, you'll have that fight or flight response. So when I often work with the people, I'll work on the past, work on a past memory of when they last played, and then what we look to do is I'll ask them to go through, how did it feel? What were you doing? Oh, well, I was chipping onto the green. I had this involuntary switch. So how did you feel about it emotionally? And they'll say, well, I was embarrassed, fearful. And then incredibly, when you tap through the body's acupressure points, this releases the negative charge from that memory. You still have the memory, but then you've got less chance of being triggered. And then we might work on another memory. Now, this might sound really weird, but I have had so much experience. I suppose I specialize when I think about in time dealing with the underlying reasons why people are sabotaged. And because you use the body's energy system, it actually you have less chance of being triggered. And so, and it's interesting. Sometimes I start off and work with people, and you work on their golf, and then as you go through things in many ways, it's like peeling an onion as a different layer. It could be something else going on in their life that's basically sort of triggering this sort of stress or the fight or flight response to stress. So let me give you a couple examples. A few years ago, I worked with a national newspaper, and I got in touch with the golf guy. I knew he'd be interested because I said, look, I've got this technique that can help free golfers from yips. So we met up in a pub, and I said, look, okay, we agreed that we would work with send out a before and after, and the before and after was that we'd actually um, anyone who's got demons in their game that they would work with me, have a few sessions, and see what happened. I work with a number of players, and I help the ones that I work with. One in particular was he was a good rugby player. Injury forced him to sort of give up the game, and then he fell in love with golf. He used to go out there with his friends and play, and then for some reason he couldn't play. He couldn't even play on a pitch and putt. So, when I spoke to him about it, my understanding of there's normally something to it, really, some past experience. And I said, well, where did it start? And he said that he's a paramedic, and he just basically went for the hospital day out, and it was a golf competition. So for him, he was on the tee in front of all his friends. He took a swing. Where did the ball go? He just literally went a few feet away. He just obviously mishit it. He was embarrassed, laughed it off. That was one experience. Then he tried to play a game, and that was another experience. So what happened over time was that he couldn't, like I say, he couldn't even play on the pitch and putt, and he was basically giving up the game. So I did a session with. It was actually one session. I know normally it takes more. What happened was when we got in touch a few weeks later, he got back to playing. He didn't tell his friends. He tried all the things about changing grip, changing, and then he just went out and started to play again, and he felt more comfortable. Got back on the range with his friends, and actually was hitting the ball straight and got back to enjoying it. There was there was another experience I had with he was one of the country's top amateurs, and he basically would win competition after his competition. He was a club champion for years. He was one of the country's top, like I say, top amateurs. And then when he started playing professional, um, he he all of a sudden found it very difficult. And when I got into it and spoke to him about it, I said, "Give me an example." And for him, he he said that the experience he's got was this putt. He had this putt that he missed, and and basically I said, "So what would you normally do with a putt?" He said, "Well, normally I kind of before I'd had this relative pressure turning pro, I'd actually look at the hole. I'd have like an imaginary line going towards it, and then I'd actually hit it, trust myself, and it went." Now for him, the pressure was because he turned pro. He had to give up his normal job. He had sponsors. He had to take care of his family, and all of this caused the pressure for him to have this fight or flight. It was so bad for him that he said that he had these dreams, reoccurring dreams, about that he couldn't take his club back, literally to take the swing. So, we worked on that. I said to him, look, go through that feeling about what it was like when you took that putt and you missed it, and of course there was a few £1,000s involved if he'd have got it, and and then he talked about the underlying emotions were that he felt embarrassed, that he was, he felt the pressure providing for his family, looking good in front of his peers, looking good in front of the other sponsors, and that was all the things that caused the disruption. So we worked on that within a session, and he went back and he started playing on the tour again. There were a few other things that we were able to work on, but that was essentially part of the key. So the thing is with the work I do, I've helped so many players. I might sound that I might sound confident in what I've done, but I deal with the underlying reasons why people are stressed, the underlying reasons why golfers in particular struggle. And so we work on the past, which would be the things that we feel are getting in the way. But I'd also work on the future when you kind of feel a bit taking the negative vibration out of the past, sabotage. I'd say to you, look, how about the idea if you've got something coming up? It could be a competition, you could be going out with your friends, and I'd get you to do the visualization about, you know, just imagine how you're going to play and and then sometimes when you work with a player, they actually can't find themselves swinging free. They still get the tension. And then we actually tap through the points and send those calming messages to the brain. I suppose all the time what we're looking to do is that over time you would have developed some faults like a program, like a computer program. And that program it's not serving you anymore. So what we're able to do with the body's sort of energy system in a crazy way is to actually release the past and and reprogram and allow you to stay in the moment, trust yourself, and like I said, it's not a mechanical thing, and then access the talent you've got within you. So if you want to know more about it, um, I my website is confidenceontap.com. You can get in touch with me at Sean at confidenceontap.com. I offer a free 20-minute consultation. You tell me a little bit more about yourself, your challenges. I say how I feel I can help. And then from there, if you feel it, if we both agree on it, we go forward and do some sessions. Like I said, it's the kind of thing, if you, some people have struggled for years. So um, it might be something that works quite quick. I always expect to get you to feel different, and as long as we sort of go down a new path, I'd like to feel that I can give you hope. But so if you want to stay as you are and maybe try conventional ways and hustle your way through it, that's up to you. But if you want some hope and get back to playing the game you love, get in touch. I'd like to speak with you. All right. Take care. Bye.